wanted to go back to the beginning, and at least, like I said, we're going to talk about the story of iMagnet. Kind of wanted to bring up that little title there. So when you were growing up, did becoming an entrepreneur ever seem like a possibility? I know for me, once I had to have a aha moment with one of our friends, Senior, who kind of mentioned to me that he'd wanted to be one his entire life. And that kind of shook me. I was like, man, I wish I would have had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit much earlier on in life. Was it something that kind of latched onto you early on, or did it kind of come to you later on?
I would say, I would say that I'm somebody that as I look back, would say I have entrepreneurial tendencies, not a hardcore entrepreneur. The reason I say that is because another person we both follow, Gary, like there's people that are wired to be an entrepreneur that they can't even imagine working for somebody else. It's like they can't even breathe thinking about actually working for somebody else. I spent over 20 years of my career working at a variety of different positions in corporate and things like that. And I enjoyed those positions. I had just gotten to a point where I kind of felt like I was beginning to be, limited to what I could do in those positions. And that's when I sort of decided to shift into owning my own company. And because I saw a need there and things like that. But I wouldn't say that I was wired to be like, from a very early age, I couldn't imagine working for anybody else. I would just say that I did exhibit things that were entrepreneurial from an early age, cutting lawns, shoveling driveways, doing things like that. And one of the things I think I remember early on that somebody was like, okay, you were kind of showing signs of that. If you guys are familiar, back when I was in school, they used to sell, and I think they still do, a gum called Bubble Yum, and it came in like 5 little cubes in a pack, essentially. And you would typically at that time buy the pack for like 25 cents. If you went to a drugstore or whatever, you'd buy the pack for 25 cents. Well, at an early age, middle school age, I started to go there and take money that I had and buy all the different flavors of Bubble Yum. And I would take them apart, put them in a big Ziploc, like a freezer bag, so that I had the individual cubes. And I would take that bag in my backpack to school and I would sell each individual cube for $0.25. So I was like making, 500% margin or whatever, because I was selling each cube for what I was buying a pack for. And I was doing that in middle school. So I would say I definitely, between shoveling, driveways, mowing lawns, doing those type of things, and then little things like that, I would say I definitely was exhibiting entrepreneurial tendencies. But I never really assumed like, okay, I can't even imagine going to work for somebody else. I spent the first 6 years out of high school in the Navy. That's the consummate going to work for somebody else, because they own you basically. You know how it is. You were in the military.
Yep.
So, and then I left that, went to college, and then got a traditional job with a corporation. So I guess to answer your question, I wouldn't say that I was like from an early age, like, oh, I have to be an entrepreneur, but I think I was showing signs of the ability to be an entrepreneur.
No, that absolutely answers my question. I think we all kind of come across different things. I think what I'm hoping for my son, and I think you kind of have it, but you kind of step back. You've got older children, you want to show them kind of that this is a possibility, even if it's not something that they want to do specifically, but just like, hey, it's just more of an idea that's in the head of like, hey, that's something I could do, versus me. Like, obviously I'm thankful for my parents and they worked great jobs kind of growing up to give the lifestyle I had. It wasn't an entrepreneurial background and family, which is fine. It's not everybody. There's lots of them that aren't like that. So
same with my family. Neither one of my parents were entrepreneurs. They both worked for corporations, and my dad was an electrician who worked for the illuminating company, and my mom was a lab manager and worked for hospitals and medical labs her whole career. So neither one of my parents were entrepreneurs either.